Fame, fortune, and serious crimes? Not exactly the Hollywood ending these actors had in mind. While some stars are basking in the limelight, others are stuck behind bars, trading in red carpets for cold steel. From shocking scandals to horrific crimes, these once-loved celebrities are now on the prison registry. How did they go from blockbusters to criminal convictions? Buckle up because we're about to dive into the actors currently behind bars, and trust me, some of these stories will leave you speechless. Danny Masterson, best known for his role as Stephen Hyde on That 70s Show, is now better known for his much more sinister role. After years of accusations and legal battles, Masterson was convicted of multiple assault charges, bringing his Hollywood career to a dramatic end. The first allegations surfaced in the early 2000s when 3 women accused Masterson of assaulting them in separate incidents between 2001 and 2003. All 3 women were members of the Church of Scientology like Masterson, a prominent figure in the organization. However, their claims were allegedly buried under the weight of the church's influence, with the victims alleging that they were silenced, threatened with expulsion, and warned of dire consequences if they spoke out. It wasn't until the Me Too movement took hold that the case came to light, leading to new investigations in 2017. By 2020, Masterson was formally charged with 3 counts of forcible assault, with prosecutors arguing that he had used his position and connections to evade justice for years. After an emotional trial, he was convicted of 2 counts in May 2023, though the jury deadlocked on the 3rd count, leading to a retrial. In September 2023, Masterson was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison, meaning he won't even be eligible for parole until he's at least 78. He is currently serving his sentence at the California Men's Colony, a medium-security prison in San Luis Obispo. For years, Harvey Weinstein was Hollywood's untouchable king, the producer behind Pulp Fiction, Shakespeare in Love, and The King's Speech. He didn't just make Oscar-winning films, he shaped careers, courted A-listers, and even appeared on screen occasionally. But in 2017, his empire collapsed. A bombshell investigation by the New York Times and The New Yorker exposed a decades-long pattern of harassment, assault, and abuse. Actresses like Ashley Judd and Rose McGowan were the first to speak out, exposing a terrifying cycle of coercion, intimidation, and silence from the industry. As more and more women came forward, Weinstein went from Hollywood king to the shameful face of the Me Too movement. By May 2018, Weinstein was arrested and charged with multiple crimes, one that could have landed him in prison for life. The consequences were swift. He was expelled from the Academy, his production company went bankrupt, and even Queen Elizabeth stripped him of his CBA. His wife left him, and the industry that once feared him turned its back on him. In 2020, a New York court found him guilty of 2 felony sex crimes, sentencing him to 23 years in prison. A California trial in 2023 extended that sentence by another 16 years. But in a shocking turn of events, the New York Court of Appeals overturned his 2020 conviction in April 2024, citing a trial error. As his retrial looms, Weinstein remains incarcerated in Mohawk Prison, now 72. If he serves his entire sentence, he won't be free until he's 107. A huge setback for a man who once believed he was invulnerable. For years, Jared Fogle was America's unlikely hero, the everyday guy who lost over 200 pounds by eating Subway sandwiches. His transformation turned him into a marketing sensation, earning him a spot as the brand's spokesperson in countless commercials, public appearances, and even a cameo in Sharknado. He built a reputation as a champion against childhood obesity, running his own charity, the Jared Foundation. But behind the feel-good image was a deeply disturbing secret. In 2007, journalist Rochelle Herman secretly recorded Fogel making shocking comments about minors, which she later reported to authorities. Years later, the FBI launched an investigation, uncovering that Fogel had been involved in possessing and distributing illicit materials involving minors. Some of these materials were supplied by Russell Taylor, the head of Fogel's own charity, who had secretly recorded explicit content in his home. The revelations destroyed Fogel's career overnight. His wife filed for divorce, and Subway severed all ties with him. In November 2015, Fogel pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 15 years and 8 months in federal prison. Under federal guidelines, he must serve at least 85% of his sentence, meaning the earliest he could be released is 2029. On top of that, he was fined $175,000 and ordered to pay $1.4 million in restitution to 14 of his victims. Now 47, Fogel is serving his time at FCI Englewood, a low-security federal prison in Colorado known for housing white-collar criminals, a far cry from the life of fame and fortune he once enjoyed. Well, Hayden built his brand on firepower and precision. As the founder of Red Jacket Firearms and star of the Discovery Channel show Sons of Guns, he was known as a master gunsmith with a thriving business and a hit reality TV show. But in 2014, his world came crashing down. Not only did Hayden face trouble in his business, he was also accused of unthinkable crimes. In August 2014, Hayden was arrested for aggravated assault on a minor. The case took a darker turn when his own daughter, Stephanie Ford, also a member of the Sons of Guns, cast publicly accused him of abusing her as a child. As more victims came forward with horrifying allegations, the Discovery Channel wasted no time in canceling the show, and Red Jacket Firearms quickly distanced itself from its disgraced founder. The company's firearms license was revoked, and Hayden's once loyal supporters turned against him. By 2017, the punishment had become severe. Hayden was convicted of 2 counts of aggravated sexual assault, resulting in 2 life sentences without parole plus 40 years. 3 months later, he was given another life sentence after pleading no contest to another count. Now 59, he is incarcerated in the Louisiana State Penitentiary, ensuring that the man once known for making weapons will never walk free again. Skylar DeLeon was a child actor who starred as an extra on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but any dreams of Hollywood success were overshadowed by one of the most horrific crimes in California history. In 2004, DeLeon and a group of accomplices lured Tom and Jackie Hawks, a retired couple with a love of adventure, into a deadly trap under the guise of buying their yacht. The Hawks planned to sell the boat and move closer to family, but instead of signing the deal, they were led out to sea, overpowered, tied to an anchor, and thrown into the Pacific Ocean. The motive? Pure greed. Prosecutors argued that DeLeon wanted to steal the yacht to fund a lavish lifestyle, while the defense later claimed DeLeon needed the money for sex reassignment surgery. Regardless of the motive, the brutality of the crime is undeniable. The investigation also linked DeLeon to a 2003 case in Mexico, where a man named John Jarvie was found dead. With mounting evidence, DeLeon was charged with 3 first-degree murders, including special circumstances for financial gain making the case eligible for the death penalty. In 2008, a jury convicted DeLeon, and by 2009, the verdict was clear: death by lethal injection. However, with California's moratorium on executions, DeLeon remains on death row at San Quentin State Prison, one of the most notorious maximum security facilities in the country. Shannon Richardson had a few minor roles in The Walking Dead and The Vampire Diaries, but her biggest headline had nothing to do with Hollywood. In 2013, she made news for something far more sinister, sending Riken-laced letters to then-President Barack Obama, New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, and Mark Glaze, the director of Mayors Against Illegal Guns. Ricin, a deadly toxin derived from castor beans, made these letters a potential weapon of mass destruction. At first, Richardson tried to frame her estranged husband, Nathan, for the crime. The couple was in the middle of a bitter divorce, and she planted evidence to implicate him. But the FBI wasn't fooled. After a thorough investigation, they uncovered the truth. Shannon was the real mastermind. In June 2013, she was arrested after confessing to mailing the toxic letters from her Texas home. Facing multiple charges, including threatening the president and producing a biological weapon, Richardson's defense argued she was emotionally unstable due to her pregnancy and marital troubles. The court wasn't buying it. In July 2014, she pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 18 years in federal prison. On top of that, she was ordered to pay $367,400 in restitution to cover the government's costly cleanup efforts. Now 47, Richardson is serving her sentence at the Federal Medical Center Carswell in Texas, with a projected release date around 2032, far removed from the Hollywood dreams she once chased. Ryan Grantham, a Canadian actor best known for his roles in Riverdale and Diary of a Wimpy Kid, shocked the world when his real-life story took a tragic and violent turn. In March 2020, when he was just 21 years old, Grantham murdered his biological mother, Barbara Waite. As she sat playing the piano in their home in Squamish, British Columbia, Grantham approached her from behind but the horror didn't stop there. After killing his 64-year-old mother, Grantham meticulously planned his next move, loading his car with guns, ammunition, and Molotov cocktails. His initial target? Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He even started driving to Ottawa, but eventually changed his mind and turned himself in at a Vancouver police station, confessing to the murder. His trial revealed a disturbing pattern. Grantham had rehearsed the murder, recorded it, and struggled with severe depression, suicidal thoughts, and violent impulses leading up to the crime. In September 2022, Grantham was sentenced to life in prison for second-degree murder, which carries a mandatory life sentence in Canada. Although his crime was not classified as premeditated in the strictest legal sense, the court acknowledged his deliberate planning and the potential to cause further harm. He will be eligible for parole after 14 years, meaning the now 25-year-old could be freed as early as 2036 at age 38 or 39. For a once promising young actor, his story is now one of wasted potential and unimaginable tragedy. Todd and Julie Chrisley built their reality TV empire on Chrisley Knows Best, where they showcased a picture-perfect life of wealth, wit, and Southern charm. But behind the designer clothes and million-dollar homes was an elaborate financial scheme that ultimately landed them both behind bars. Their legal troubles began in 2019 when federal prosecutors accused the couple of defrauding banks out of millions by submitting false financial documents. Todd, known for flaunting his financial savvy on the show, allegedly faked documents to secure $30 million in personal loans. When they couldn't keep up with payments, they filed for bankruptcy in 2012, wiping out $20 million in debt. But investigators later uncovered a years-long pattern of fraud and tax evasion. Prosecutors claimed the Chrisleys had gone to great lengths to hide their income, all while continuing to live extravagantly. Despite the mounting allegations, their show continued airing, and the couple maintained their innocence. Their daughter Savannah defended them publicly, while their son Chase shifted focus to his own spin-off series. But in November 2022, reality caught up with them. Todd was sentenced to 12 years in prison, while Julie received 7. Both were also given 16 months of probation upon release. Now 55, Todd is serving his sentence at federal prison Camp Pensacola in Florida, with an earliest release date around 2034, while 51-year-old Julie is at the Federal Medical Center in Lexington, Kentucky, and could be released as early as 2030. Their legal team continues to fight for an appeal, but for now, the Chrisleys' carefully curated empire has crumbled, proving that even reality TV royalty isn't above the law. Diddy Combs, the influential music mogul and businessman, has recently been embroiled in serious legal disputes that have significantly affected his career and public image. In November 2023, his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, filed a lawsuit accusing him of abuse during their decades-long relationship. Although that lawsuit was quickly settled, with Combs denying all allegations, it paved the way for more charges. By September 2024, federal agents arrested Combs on charges including racketeering and extortion. The indictment alleged that he used his business resources to coerce women into participating in staged acts, known as freak-offs, that were allegedly filmed for possible blackmail. The investigation uncovered disturbing evidence, including drugs and a large quantity of lubricant, suggesting a pattern of exploitation. As of March 2025, more than 30 individuals have come forward with various allegations against Combs, ranging from non-consensual sexual harassment. Despite these mounting allegations, Combs has maintained his innocence and is awaiting trial, which is scheduled for May 5, 2025. The outcome of this trial is expected to have significant implications not only for Combs, but for the entertainment industry as a whole, as it grapples with issues of power, exploitation, and accountability.
Inside of me, I push it down, it goes away, but then it comes back stronger.
Michael Jace, best known for his role as cop Julian Lowy on The Shield, became infamous for a much darker reason on May 19, 2014. That night, inside their Los Angeles home, he shot and killed his wife, April Jace, in a crime that shocked Hollywood and the world. The couple had been married for more than a decade and shared 2 young sons, but behind closed doors, their relationship was falling apart due to financial pressures and Jace's growing jealousy. During the attack, Jace allegedly shot April, who was said to have taunted, "If you want to run, run to heaven." As if that weren't enough, he did it in front of their 2 children. He then calmly called 911 and reported what he had done. When police arrived, they found April dead from her injuries. The trial later revealed that Jace had been consumed by jealousy, believing his wife wanted to leave him. His doubts, combined with severe financial troubles he filed for bankruptcy in 2011, motivated the murder. It was also revealed that he had a history of domestic violence. Initially charged with first-degree murder, Jace was eventually convicted of second-degree murder in May 2016. The jury determined that although the crime was intentional, it did not have the premeditation required for a first-degree conviction. He was sentenced to 40 years to life in prison, essentially guaranteeing that he would never be free again. Now 54 years old at the time of his sentencing, Jace is serving his sentence at Corcoran State Prison in California.
No, not unless you drop those charges against Jake. He was just protecting me. He doesn't need this.
Amy Locane, the 53-year-old actress best known for playing Sandy Harling on Melrose Place, saw her life take a devastating turn on June 27, 2010. That night in Montgomery Township, New Jersey, Locane, driving under the influence of alcohol, sped through a 35 mph zone at 53 mph before crashing into another vehicle. The tragic collision claimed the life of 60-year-old Helen Seaman and seriously injured her husband, Fred. At the time of the crash, Locaine's blood alcohol level was nearly 3 times the legal limit. Charged with second-degree vehicular homicide and third-degree assault by auto, Locaine's legal battle dragged on for years. In 2012, she was sentenced to just 3 years in prison, a punishment many saw as shockingly lenient given the severity of the crime. The judge cited her clean record and the fact that she had 2 young children as reasons for the reduced sentence. However, the Seaman family and prosecutors fought back, arguing that justice had not been served. This led to a series of appeals and resentencing hearings that would stretch over a decade. In the midst of the legal chaos, Locaine's personal life crumbled. Her husband filed for divorce and sought custody of their daughters. By 2020, after years of courtroom battles, she was resentenced to 8 years in prison. Under the terms of her sentence, she must serve at least 6 years and 10 months before becoming eligible for parole. Currently incarcerated at the Edna Mayhem Correctional Facility for Women, she recently lost an appeal to have her sentence reduced. Once the star of TLC's 19 Kids and Counting, Josh Duggar's downfall was both shocking and disturbing. In 2015, it was revealed that as a teenager, he had assaulted several of his younger sisters and a family friend. The allegations, dating back to the early 2000s, were enough to get the family's hit show canceled, but they were just the beginning. In April 2021, Duggar was arrested on federal charges of possession and receipt of obscene material crimes that carry a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison for each count. The evidence was so horrifying that a Department of Homeland Security official described it as some of the worst he had ever seen. By December 2021, a jury had found Duggar guilty on both counts, and in May 2022, a judge sentenced him to 12 years and 7 months in federal prison without the possibility of parole. On top of that, upon his release, he will be on supervised release for 20 years and required to register as a sex offender. Unlike other high-profile felons whose wives have abandoned him in disgrace, Duggar's wife, Anna, remained by his side throughout the trial, standing by a man the justice system deemed a danger to society. Today, the 37-year-old former reality TV star is behind bars at FCI Seagoville, a federal prison in Texas. If he serves his entire sentence, he won't be free until he's 48, an incomprehensible downfall for someone who was once considered the golden boy of a wholesome television family. For years, Zach Avery sold the dream, just not the one he was acting in. The Hollywood actor, best known for playing Mike in the 2021 thriller The Getaway, wasn't exactly a household name. But behind the scenes, he was running a multi-million-dollar Ponzi scheme that could have been ripped straight from a movie script. Between 2014 and 2019, Avery convinced investors that his company, 1NM Capital LLC, had lucrative licensing deals with Netflix and HBO to distribute foreign films. The problem? None of it was real. Promising returns of up to 40% in just a year, Avery lured investors into his web of deception, using forged documents and fake contracts to prop up the illusion. As new money rolled in, he used it to pay off earlier investors, all while funding his own extravagant lifestyle, complete with a $6 million mansion, luxury cars, and designer splurges. By the time the scheme collapsed in 2019, he had swindled investors out of more than $650 million, leaving hundreds of victims in financial ruin. In 2021, the illusion shattered. Avery was arrested and charged with securities and wire fraud, and on the same day, his wife filed for divorce and sole custody of their son. By October, he pleaded guilty to 1 count of securities fraud and was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. Now 37, Avery won't see freedom until 2042, when he'll be 54, just another Hollywood con artist whose story didn't get the ending he planned. Joe Sun's claim to fame was playing random tasks in Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, but his real-life story is far darker than any Hollywood script. Before his brief acting career, Sun was a failed mixed martial artist, boasting a record of 0 wins and 4 losses. But his greatest loss wasn't in the ring, it was his freedom. On Christmas Eve in 1990, Sun and an accomplice kidnapped and brutally assaulted a woman in Huntington Beach, California. They subjected her to unspeakable acts of violence before letting her go, and for nearly 2 decades, Sun managed to evade justice. That changed in 2008, when he was arrested on unrelated minor charges. When his DNA was entered into the national database, it matched evidence from the long cold case, finally leading to his arrest. Though some charges were barred by the statute of limitations, he was convicted of felony torture in 2011 and sentenced to 7 years to life in prison. But prison didn't change him. In 2017, while serving his sentence at Wasco State Prison, Sun was accused of murdering his cellmate, a convicted sex offender. He was found guilty of voluntary manslaughter and handed another 27-year sentence. Now, the man once known for a comedic sidekick role is locked away indefinitely, serving 34 years to life behind bars. Few have had a rise and fall quite like Joe Exotic. The eccentric, gun-toting, mullet-wearing owner of the Greater Wynnewood Exotic Animal Park was made famous by Tiger King, the Netflix docuseries that made him a household name. But long before the cameras rolled, Joe Exotic, real name Joseph Maldonado Passage, was on a collision course with disaster. His years-long feud with animal rights activist Carolee Baskin, founder of Big Cat Rescue, became an obsession. Baskin accused Joe of animal abuse and tried to shut down her zoo, while Joe retaliated with relentless threats, online harassment, and conspiracy theories. But things took a darker turn in 2017 when Joe was accused of trying to hire 2 different hitmen to kill Baskin. One was an employee who took the money but never delivered, and the second was an undercover FBI agent who sealed Joe's fate. In 2019, Joe Exotic was arrested and charged with a long list of crimes: 2 counts of manslaughter for hire, 17 counts of animal cruelty, including killing 5 tigers to make room for more animals, and multiple violations of wildlife protection laws. In 2020, he was convicted and sentenced to 22 years in federal prison. A retrial in 2021 reduced his sentence by a year to 21 years. Now 62, Joe Exotic is battling prostate cancer and has repeatedly petitioned for early release, but so far, the government has refused. If things don't change, the self-proclaimed Tiger King won't be free until 2035, when he'll be 72 and long past his days of dominating the big cat world. Kyle Walker, best known for his role in the 2018 film Superfly, used his status in the entertainment industry not for stardom, but as a tool for predation. In 2018, he was arrested on multiple sexual assault charges, accused of luring women, primarily aspiring models, with promises of career opportunities, only to assault them once he gained their trust. Prosecutors revealed that Walker's pattern of abuse spanned years, beginning in 2013. He allegedly reached out to victims through social media, offering professional photo shoots or industry connections as bait. By the time of his arrest, more than a dozen women had come forward, detailing how he manipulated his influence to commit his crimes. In October 2022, Walker was convicted on multiple counts of forcible sexual assault. Though he was acquitted in cases involving 3 of the 10 victims, the jury found him guilty of deliberately using his status to exploit and attack women. The court sentenced him to 50 years to life in prison, making it highly unlikely that the now 29-year-old will ever walk free. With his earliest possible release date in the 2070s, Walker's once promising career is now nothing more than a cautionary tale of power, manipulation, and justice served. Jen Shah built her image as a flashy, no-nonsense diva on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, flaunting wealth, designer outfits, and a larger-than-life personality. But behind the glamour, Shah was running a massive nationwide telemarketing scam that preyed on elderly and vulnerable individuals, an operation that eventually led to her downfall. On March 30, 2021, Shah and her assistant, Stuart Smith, were arrested and charged with defrauding hundreds of victims by selling non-existent business services. Many of their targets were older adults with little technological knowledge, tricked into spending thousands on worthless coaching programs and website development services. The U.S. Department of Justice alleged that Shah had been running this scam for nearly a decade, using deception to fuel the luxurious lifestyle she showcased on reality TV. Her arrest, partially caught on camera, became one of the most explosive moments in Real Housewives history. Initially, Shah maintained her innocence, claiming she was framed, but as the trial loomed, she changed course. In July 2022, she pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering. While she could have faced up to 30 years in prison, her late guilty plea and promises to make amends led to a reduced sentence. In January 2023, she was sentenced to 6.5 years, 78 months in federal prison, ordered to forfeit $6.5 million and required to pay over $9 million in restitution to her victims. Now 50, Shah is serving her time at Federal Prison Camp Bryan, a minimum security facility in Texas, with a scheduled release in 2029. Tammy Lynn Sitch, better known to WWE fans as Sunny, was once the original diva of professional wrestling, a trailblazer of the 1990s wrestling boom. But behind the fame, her personal life was plagued by addiction, legal troubles, and a series of run-ins with the law. Her downward spiral reached its tragic peak on March 25, 2022, when she was involved in a fatal DUI crash in Ormond Beach, Florida. Driving under the influence, Sitch rear-ended another vehicle at high speed, killing 75-year-old Julian Lassiter. When tested, her blood alcohol level was 3.5 times the legal limit. The crash led to a string of serious charges, including DUI manslaughter, driving with a suspended license, and causing serious bodily harm. Given her long history of DUI and previous arrests, prosecutors saw her as a repeat offender with little chance for redemption. On top of the criminal charges, Lassiter's family filed a civil lawsuit against Sitch, seeking over $100,000 in damages. In August 2023, Sitch pleaded no contest to the charges and was sentenced to 17 years in prison. Under Florida law, DUI manslaughter carries a mandatory minimum sentence, and given her prior offenses, the court showed no leniency. Now 51, she is set to remain behind bars until at least 2039, when she'll be 67, far removed from the wrestling stardom she once knew. What was once a legacy of glamour and success has become a cautionary tale of addiction, recklessness, and a life forever changed by one tragic decision. In March 2024, South Korean actor Oh Young-soo, renowned for his role as Player One in the Netflix series Squid Game, was found guilty of sexual misconduct. The incident in question occurred in 2017, involving inappropriate physical contact with a woman. The court sentenced Young-soo to an 8-month prison term, suspended for 2 years, and mandated that he attend 40 hours of sexual violence treatment programs. The allegations surfaced in 2022, leading to his indictment in November of that year. Oh Young-soo denied the charges, asserting that any contact was neither intentional nor sexual. Despite his defense, the court found the victim's testimony credible and consistent, leading to the conviction. This conviction had significant repercussions on Oh Young-soo's career. The South Korean Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism halted an advertising campaign featuring him, reflecting the gravity of the situation and the impact on his public image. Oh Young-soo gained international acclaim for his portrayal of Oh Il-nam in Squid Game, earning a Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor in a series, miniseries, or television film in 2022, making him the first Korean actor to receive this honor. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like to show your support, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new content, and leave a comment below to share your thoughts. See you in the next video.